The following podcast is inspired by the book How to Live a Great Life. These podcasts are designed to give you some perspectives that will help improve the quality of your life. There are many ways of looking at prejudice and intolerance, and many different solutions are needed. I will present here one way of looking at the challenge. I will also present one solution, even though I realize it will be difficult to implement. But has been said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. I will begin with a quote from James Baldwin, a black man seeking equality for his people. In his book, The Fire Next Time, published in 1961, he wrote, quote, "White people in this country will have quite enough to do in learning how to accept and love themselves and each other. And when they have achieved this, which will not be tomorrow, and may very well be never, the Negro problem will no longer exist, for it will no longer be needed." End quote. Please note that in 1961, the term Negro was commonly applied to black people. You are less, so I can be more. This is the seed of intolerance. We do not accept ourselves, so we must see others as less. This lessens our pain. In attacking institutionalized discrimination, we are taking a necessary first step toward eliminating a knife wound to the chest of civilization. It is time to take action on that front, but that is not enough. We must examine the basic causes of intolerance to truly eliminate it. Bullying is a form of intolerance, and it starts at a very young age. At this moment, police brutality against people of color is at the front of our consciousness. But attacks against Chinese people in Canada and the US have escalated significantly since the arrival of COVID-19. Anti-Semitism has been on the rise for years in Europe and North America. Indigenous people in both Canada and the United States have suffered terribly from discrimination. Acts of intolerance against those who are different are seated in, "I am not good enough." If we humans look at someone and feel they are less, we feel better about ourselves. Even people who have been the subject of intolerance can easily become prejudiced against others. My father was one such person. I was raised in a Jewish family. We were not religious, but very much a part of the Jewish culture. My mother's parents emigrated from Russia at a time of extraordinary discrimination against Jewish people in that country. Jews were banned from many professions, and extreme violence against them was commonplace, as well as unpunished. My father was 2 years old when his mother brought him to Canada from Russia. His father had been killed in an attack. Both of my parents suffered taunting and physical abuse at the hands of Catholic children while they were growing up in Montreal. The Catholic Church taught that Jews were evil because they had caused the death of Christ. My father, living in Montreal, was prejudiced against French-speaking people for his entire life. You could argue that his prejudice was born in fear. That argument is made today about white people being afraid of black people as a cause for racist attitudes. However, I would argue that my father never accepted himself. He never lived up to the idea of who he might become. His antipathy toward French-speaking people was a way for him to feel superior. If a French person was less, then he must be more. It strikes me as extraordinary that people who have been the subject of bigotry can be bigoted. I would have expected that having been the recipient of hatred or discrimination would cause a person to have compassion for others who are experiencing the same injustice. Some people who are members of groups that are treated unfairly do care deeply about the rights of others. But there are many people like my father who need to have a group they feel superior to. Referring back to James Baldwin, I would concur with his assessment. The answer to bigotry and discrimination is to create a society in which each person learns to accept and appreciate themselves. Imagine a world in which teachers are taught to accept themselves so that they could ensure that every child feels great about what they are learning. What if we had national programs of parent training so that parents had the skills to make their children feel great about themselves? It may be that such undertakings are far off in the future. So then what can we do now? What can you do now? I ask this of you. Raise up your friends, relatives, neighbors, and co-workers. Let's share with them the gift of forgiveness. Let's show them the gift of creating their lives through thankfulness of what will be. Let's help them find compassion for those who would try to make them small. In doing all of this, we will help them be proud of who they are, and we will be proud of who we are. No one will need to put down any group or individual to feel better about themselves. Our acceptance of ourselves will be enough to eliminate bigotry and intolerance. These podcasts are an introduction to the soon-to-be-published book, How to Live a Great Life. The promise of the book is to give you information and tools that will help you to reduce stress and increase joy in your life. To get updates on the launch date for the book, as well as information on future podcasts, please click the link Great Life in the show notes of this episode. Enter your email and you will be kept up to date. If you are listening using the Apple Podcast app, the show notes can be found by pressing on Detail. Then scroll down the show notes to find the Great Life link. This is Bill Rabo reminding you that your thoughts create your reality. So think positive thoughts.